So let's make this bracelet. Here's the bracelet design that I supplied you guys with. There's a picture on your kit. So we're just going to follow this pattern today. If you want to be creative and make your own pattern, this is really easy. You could just draw on what you want on either side. Let's take the card, or the one with the needle came on, and measure from one end and then just mark it. So that kind of shows you where we're going to start doing our beadwork. I've already separated the sinew. That one piece of sinew will separate into 5 different strands. So I already have that separated and threaded the needle on one of them. You'll probably only use 2, but just in case, it's good to have them ready. Then fold your leather piece in half. Pick which side you want to use, the suede side or the smooth side, and we'll keep it the same all the way down. And we'll pull that thread all the way down. So you don't want to pull it too tight where it's so tight that once you take it back off of here, all the beads will buckle and squish together. But pull it tight enough that it's on there. It's just not like, see what that's doing? That's too much. But you'll want it to do just a little bit of a bow so that it's up, so you can be able to get your fingers under there and bead. So just have the slightest. And then bring that back and tape it. So now we're ready to loom. And I have the suede side all the way down. All right, so we'll thread one strand and we'll take the opposite end of the needle, and we want to start on the side. See, I marked it on both sides, but I've used this piece a couple times, so I've got marks all over. There. You want to start on the loop side, because this is going to end up being the loop for the button. So we want the beadwork to be closer to this side than this one, because this has a lot of extra at the end. So we're going to start on that looped side. So we'll hold that towards me, take the end of that thread and lift up one of the strands, or one of the pieces of leather. They all have real official names, but I'm gonna teach you gibberish. And then we're gonna tie a double knot. 1 and 2. I think that's called a square knot. Double knot will work. The sinew is so waxy that it'll be able to stick onto that leather. Let's just cut a little bit off, so it's just a little bit of a piece. And we'll squish it on there. And we'll start picking up beads. So our first bead is a purple one. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a purple one. Now, don't get upset if for some reason you pull the beads too tight and a wampum bead breaks or pops. That's something that happens. It's a shell. So, oh, okay. I didn't show you what I was doing there. I'm trying to go too fast. So I tied that on. I put the bead all the way to the end. And then we're going to take the needle and go under both, under the bridge, and snag everything on the way. Okay. And then this is gonna be the hardest part where everything acts goofy just because it's the first bead. So it's like the placeholder bead. It'll take a little messing with just to get everything right. So I have my finger under there and holding it in place. Then the needle goes back through this bead, but above both of these. So first under them and now over through the bead. My poor crazy needle's all bent. All right. And then you just pull that tight. Make sure it's all the way to the end, but not like Hulk tight that you're just gonna rip it. And try to keep both of the pieces, so like you're gonna have to hold it like a pinch and hold on to it. Stick on there so that this doesn't twist. Now we'll grab our next bead, which is a white one. I try to grade them. I try to pick ones that are pretty much the same length. They're not going to be super exact, but they're pretty close. Now it goes under. And hold it up there. And then back through the bead over. And there we go. And once you have these two beads on, this is going to be super easy. You'll get to breeze through this. That's going to hold it in place. And then we're just going to continue to do this same thing over and over and follow our pattern. So one bead at a time, under, and over. Grab another one and go under, and over. Now I'm noticing here that the leather is twisted. So if that happens to you, that's an easy fix. Just try to pay attention because it's easier to fix when this is shorter. You just twist it back. If it starts to get twisted a long ways in and you don't notice, you can still fix it, but it takes a little bit of work twisting it back and forth. And you notice that little piece got is getting sewn down. And all those little pieces and knots we'll be able to fix at the end and make sure they're nice and clean looking. So our next bead is purple. Now again, I'm pretty sure I gave enough extra beads that you can switch the colors around. These ones can be purple, these ones can be white. It's up to you to pick your design and pattern and what colors. All right, I just got goopy right there, but I fixed it. Okay, so look, and that wants to twist again. No. All right, so we're just gonna keep going like this, but one thing I want to point out is if you're pulling this too tight, it'll start to pull on the edge and you'll be able to see it kind of do this wavy pattern, especially if some of the beads are longer, a little slightly longer than the other ones. It'll make that kind of wave pattern. So we want to avoid that and keep it kind of a uniform. So let's just keep going. And I have 3 more white. Under and back over. Both times I just hold on to the bead under and pop it up there and back over. Ooh, look how pretty that is. A lot of people like the darker purple beads. I happen to like the swirly ones just because you could see all the layers from when the shell was growing, and it kind of takes on like a water pattern, like the waves. I don't know. Pay attention. So 3 more white ones. And back under and then over. Whoops. Shaky cam. And back under. And over. And that one I did a little loose, so you just pull that last thread tight, pull it back through, and that much better. And another white bead, and under, and back over. So already we're to the different color bead right here, and there's 6 of them. So I'm gonna pick, you can just pick them out of a bowl or whatever you have them in, one at a time. But the way my brain works, I need to pick them first just so I remember to stop. I run out of beads in my hand, then I know to stop. Sometimes I zone out and I'll be like 8 rows past where I was supposed to. So get this pretty green turquoise. And ooh, look how pretty that is. And I see that I'm getting close to the end of my needle, so I'm gonna just move the needle to the end a little bit, extend that thread. Whoops. And back under. And over. There is a Fortnite event happening downstairs. Back under and over. So just keep going. Try not to shake the camera too much. That looks pretty good. Two more. All right. So now we're to the very center point. So take a drink of Red Bull. This is the center bead. So you're going to pick your focal bead. And ooh, look at that one. I like you. I choose you. All right. So now you don't have to pay so much attention to the picture pattern, because you're just going to do the same thing backwards. So 6 more turquoise beads, green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm coming close to the end of my thread. And you don't want to go all the way where it's like so short you can't do anything with it, because you need some thread to tie it off. And make sure the leather is staying not twisty. I think I can get a couple more on there. I'll do this last one. Under and over. Okay, so now I have about that much thread left. I've come to the end of my rope. And what I'm going to do is the same way that we started, tie a knot. And you can double it if you want to be extra about it. And then we're going to go back through this last bead. And I suggest that if you are you're getting to the end of your thread, to do this part in a turquoise bead, because the wampum beads are a little bit more delicate, and if you're doing too much thread through there and tugging and things, you have more chance of breaking that bead. And these ones are glass, and they're a little bit, the hole is a little bit bigger. So once you went back through, you can tie that knot on this side. Or if you want to be really fancy, you can put this down between the two pieces of leather, and then back up between these two beads, so that this knot, and then you tie your knot. So that knot is hidden in this bead. So then the knot goes down in there. And then you poke yourself, and then snip. Okay. So then we need a new piece of sinew. And I have another one threaded already. And so, which way am I going? Squish that down. And then we're just going to continue the same way that we started. Now you can also be fancy and tie the knot in and weave it through, so you can do the same way that I hid that knot in that bead. Start in here and tie the knot in this one and then weave it back up through so we can continue. You don't have to do that. It depends on how you feel, I guess. Normally, if you are going to do, see, I just did another double knot. When I'm doing like a large wampum belt or even a few rows of a bracelet or a woven piece, I definitely try to hide the knots because you end up with so many, it'll just take away from it. So I hide the knots, but also this is just one row, so it's not gonna be a big deal to just have that knot on the end. Another tip I have is if you have a glover's needle or a triangle tip needle, some people call them, leather needle, you tie the knot through, so you go up through the leather and then tie the knot around it so that it's extra secure. Again, this isn't going to end up being very heavy at all, so we don't need to really do that. It's going to be good. So I just did another double knot right there, and then we're just going to continue. So we have 3 more beads. Uh-oh, am I rambling? Rambly. Okay, try not to lean on this little shaky table. See? And we just keep going. And you can squish that down on there. Squish. That doesn't want to, just because I said it'll squish. And we just keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to move on to our next 3 white beads. And, oh my goodness. One. 2. 3. And purple. Under. Under. And over. That one is a little loose. purple. Now my cat is crying outside the door because nobody likes Mom to be alone in a room. They start to freak out. All right. Keep it going, keep it going. We're almost to the end here. This is my last group of white beads. Looks like it. I'm gonna use you. And then one more purple bead. And I've been eyeballing you. Oh, you have a little bit. No, darn you. Back in the bowl. All right. Last bead. Okay. Now that we have our last bead on there, we're going to end the same way that we did here to change our thread. So make your knot and go back through. I'm going to go through this white bead instead of the purple one. I just don't want it to break. Okay. And then back under, and I'm going to come back up under between the two beads. And then through that loop and pull. And then I'm going to do it one more time, down between the two beads, and then back up between the next one and through that loop. So you're tying that knot around the inner edge and just pull it pretty tight. And we're done. So I'm going to show everybody how to clean this up at the very end, but let's take this off of the loom. Oh, it's so pretty. So see, if you were to pull this so super tight and then once you take it back off, it would stretch back and then these would all kind of like squish and buckle together. So just having it taut enough that it's not going to do that is the key. Now we have to get this little bag out that's got the button and all the strange things in it. And let's make a big mess. There's your little earring wires we don't need right now. So we want these 2 silver beads. So the first thing we're going to do is this loop side. Whoa, am I knocking that around? Loop side. So we're going to pinch the very end together. And we're going to go through, bring that silver bead all the way down, and then tie a knot. So, not super tight where it's just loose, so it's pretty, it's a pretty knot. And there you have your loop. Oh. Okay, now we come to this end and whoops, come to this end. We don't need all this extra. We do need some. So I'm just gonna cut a little shorter. Then the same thing, we're going to put these together flat so that we can thread this bead. And this side is a little trickier, but if you do it flat, it'll go through. And then get that on there. And again, we're going to tie a knot with both strands of leather and tie a knot. Pretty knot. Ooh. So that we have that. And now you should have some sinew left. Probably have more than I do. So if you don't have enough, just thread a new piece. I have one that's got a little bit longer. And then we are going to put this, oh, cooperate please. We're going to go in between the two, but on this side. You can go in between two. Now we're not going through the leather. If you had a leather needle, you could do that and then just sew it on like a button. But this, we're just gonna go through because this beading needle, although you could probably get it through this leather, you might break it too. So let's not do that. It's just in between both of these pieces. And then tie a knot. So that knot is going to be hidden between this bead and this knot. Double knot. Boom. And then we can cut that bad boy. Just leave a little bit, and I'm going to show you why at the end. So now we've got this thread. We're going to take our button, pick which side you want, and we'll go up through the bottom. Oh, oops, 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 oops. I forgot a step. Sorry. Back out, back out. First, before you put that button on, you have to go up through the knot. Up through the knot. So that thread should be coming out with these. See? So that's going to be above that knot right there. Then grab the button, go up through the bottom, and put that on there. Then you pick one of these beads, and I choose you. And that is going to be our stopper bead. And then we're going to go back down through. And pull that tight all the way down. So that's on there pretty good. And then back down through the knot. And then we're going to just knot through around this, tie the knot around the top of this bead and through. We just want to make sure that that part is secure on there. You can go around a couple times because this is the part that's going to be used most often, on and off with this button. So just sew it on there pretty good. And I think I'll do one more, just regular. All right, that baby's on there, and this bead is big enough that it's gonna hide all of that carrying on we just did. Okay, so now that we have a big mess, okay, so that's what we have so far. That looks pretty good. Now for the last part, to secure that knot and make sure this doesn't slide off and go anywhere, we're going to take these two, separate them, boom, and then tie those in a knot and pull that pretty tight. So now that's not going anywhere. Does that make sense? That is on there now. So at this point, you could either leave that if you like the fringe action, or cut them short. And there is your bracelet. Now all we have to do is clean up the little knots and stick them out threads. I forgot to mention that if you need a little bit more length, you can do another knot, so that like this is like perfect. It'll fit, this will fit me. But if you need it to be a little bit bigger, you just add another knot. That's why I left so much of the extra thread. Add another knot, add a second knot, and then tie on your button. And that gives you a little bit more length. And you can, before you do this part, you can see where you need that button to be on your wrist to kind of measure it out. So now for the last part, this is where that glue comes in. So I use this stuff, and it's really like strong and instant, like crazy glue, extra crazy. So you can use the glue, or you can use a lighter. I didn't mention that, but if you have a lighter, you could use that too. You just got to be kind of careful. So what I'm going to do is go down where I see any sticky outy threads. So here's one, and I'm just going to pull that out a little bit. And it's really liquidy. It looks like it's white glue, but it's really liquidy. The back of that. And I'm just going to put just a little touch on the knots, just so they don't go anywhere. It's just like extra safety. And there's another one at the end. We'll do that. Who else wants one? You. Whoop. And I tied that on there pretty good. And I don't like how that looks. So let's pull those little flags off. And I'm going to show you how to do the lighter tongue twister. Pull that little one off and burn that and poke, poke, poke. Then it goes down. Don't burn yourself. Melt, melt, melt. Now that might, see, and that's on there. Here's another one. Okay. A little shorter. Melt, melt, melt. Press that on there. just be careful when you do that. Don't burn yourself. You don't want to burn all of your work that you did, because then these will come flying apart. So just be careful when you do that. That's why the glue might be a little bit easier just to start out with. And then I think I got everybody. Oh, there's one up here. I'll get this one. All right. That looks fabulous. And now we have a super cute bracelet. And do a button by yourself. Ta-da! I hope you guys enjoyed making this with me. Bye!